timeline of what happened on August 9th. From 11:48 to noon, the officer involved in the shooting was on a sick call on Glen Arc. There was an ambulance present. At 11:51, there was a 911 call from a convenience store nearby.
All right, folks, I don't know. Okay, welcome back to the show, folks. Here's the deal. That was from this morning. That press conference with the Missouri police chief from this morning gave us the indication and led most people to believe, including me, that the police officer who shot Michael Brown in Freguson, Missouri, knew that he was a suspect in a robbery. We have video of the robbery. We've showed you throughout the course of the show. We have still pictures. Then, when we took to the air, the police chief held another press conference and told us, no, the police officer who shot Michael Brown did not know that Michael Brown was a suspect in a robbery. So that changes things around. You're going to see in this hour Quanell X coming right up and Roland Martin. Both those interviews were done before we took to air. They were called pre-tapes, okay? And we had our conversations based on the facts as we thought we knew them. They've changed a little bit, so I just want to alert you to that. Also, I referenced that Dorian Johnson, Michael Johnson's friend, was also involved in the robbery. He was not. He was not. You're going to hear it because we don't have time to edit it out, but he was not involved in the robbery, according to the police, who said that in their second press conference, even though he was on the video while the robbery was occurring. Okay? So that's the deal. Let's watch this as we head into Minister Quanell X here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
It's a shame that as we speak, the President of the United States is talking to Russia. He's talking to China. He's talking to North Korea. He's talking to Iraq and the Middle East about treating their people better. Stop oppressing your people. But as he look out the window at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, he's watching the black man who built the White House shot down like God. And he needs to go back to his roots and stop people from killing the Africans in the streets right outside of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And stop telling other nations to do what you won't do yourself, President.
All right, folks, so welcome back. As mentioned, that's Hashim Nzinga, a former member of the new Black Panther Party. We now have the national spokesman for the new Black Panther Nation and leader of the Black Panther Party in the new Black Panther Party in Texas, Minister Quanell X. Quanell, thanks for coming on, sir.
Thank you for having me, sir.
It's my pleasure. Let me ask you. You're in Houston. Were you one of those pushing for the release of the name of the police officer?
Absolutely.
Why so?
Because a public servant who works as a police officer, who's paid by the taxpayers, his or her name should always be released. No one who's on the payroll of the taxpayers should be allowed to keep their name secret because they have been involved directly, indirectly, justly, or maybe unjustly in the death of someone. I understand that passions are running high, justifiably so. But if there are security concerns that the Freguson Police Department has, there are security precautions that could be put in place to protect this man, but at the same time, give the public due process and transparency and release the man's name. The fact that you will not release the name makes the people very suspicious that there's some nefarious conspiratorial mindset behind not releasing this man's name to do a further injustice to the black community.
Well, of course, they released the name today. Let me ask you, was it your party that put the bounty out on George Zimmerman?
No, it was some members of the new Black Panther Party who did that, but we corrected that.
Okay, well, so you could understand the fear when you have a Justice Department that did nothing in the wake of a bounty being put on the head of a man who at that point had not even been charged with a crime, a U.S. citizen, not charged with the crime. You can understand the hesitancy of any force or any body to want to release the name of someone, again, who has not been charged with the crime, for fear that there might be another bounty placed on his head or his family's head.
But the bounty that was placed against Mr. George Zimmerman was not a bounty for his death, nor a bounty for his life. It was a bounty for the whereabouts of George Zimmerman because he was hiding. But nobody put a bounty on George Zimmerman.
He was hiding from who? Wait, who was he hiding from?
He was hiding from the perception that those who were angry at the unjustifiable killing of Trayvon Martin would come after him.
Well, so he's allowed to hide. He has to tell you where he is. He's an American citizen.
Yes, he is an American citizen, but how long have American citizens been treating other Americans not as American citizens?
You're missing the point. You're missing the point. The man at the time was not hiding from authorities. He was cooperating. He was not charged with a crime. So putting a bounty, any kind of bounty on him, should have been investigated by the Justice Department. But unfortunately, this Justice Department it doesn't seem to care unless it's something involving a black victim. And George Zimmerman was not black.
That's not true. I totally disagree with you on that, but at the end of the day, sir, you'll never understand what it is to be black in America because you don't have the history that we have in this nation. So you don't sympathize or have the sensitivity that you should because you don't know the experience.
You don't know anything about me or my sympathy or understanding towards black Americans at all by my saying that we have a Justice Department that doesn't care. Those aren't my words. Those are words from people who quit that Justice Department saying the same exact thing. But let's move on. The revelations today that Michael Brown was involved in a robbery, the pictures that have been released of him strong-arming, let's say, a more petite man. Michael Brown is 6'4", 291, I believe, or was. Does that change your view of this situation at all?
I have not had a chance to further investigate that new revelation and that new video footage, but I will say this. If Michael Brown was involved in a robbery, well, then he should receive due process, and he should go be taken through the court system and be punished if found guilty. But at the same time, his name still would be released as a criminal. At the end of the day, sir, it does not make him any more guilty of what happened on the day of the shooting. That shooting has nothing to do with what he allegedly.
No. The shooting. You may not know, Minister, but the shooting happened in very close proximity. There was a shooting. The police were called. The suspects were described, and Michael Brown fit the description. And the shooting, the police officer approached Michael Brown. We don't have much more information than that. We do have information that the police officer wound up in the hospital with facial wounds, and of course Michael Brown wound up dead. But so it's not like it's not like the robbery happened. It's not like the robbery happened a week ago. It happened at the same time.
But we do know, one, that he was unarmed. Two, we also know that when a description goes out like that, so many African-American black men, young black men in particular, fit that description. So just because they, quote-unquote, fit the description, hell, many of us all fit that description. It does not make us guilty, sir.
Well, I'm not saying it may. Well, no. But in this case, the police are saying that it was Michael Brown. When you see the pictures in the video, you'll see that they're saying this was Michael Brown. And not only that, one of the witnesses that we've been hearing from on television repeatedly, and I'm searching here for his name. He, as it turns out, Dorian Johnson, turns out that he was also, according to police, involved in that robbery.
What I will say is that all should be investigated. Every aspect of what's coming out and what's being revealed should be thoroughly investigated, but not by the Freguson Police Department. I believe the public should step in and take over that investigation.
Well, Justice Department.
If Michael Brown is guilty of something, that he should have been prosecuted and arrested. But that has nothing to do with him standing with his hands in the air saying "Don't shoot," and he was unarmed.
Well, you don't know that he was standing with his hands in the air. We don't know anything. We don't know how many times he was.
According to witnesses who saw the entire ordeal, they all say the same thing consistently, that he had his hands raised in the air. He was no longer running off combative, and he had his hands up saying, "Don't shoot." One in particular heard him say, "Don't shoot," and he was shot.
Well, I don't know if that was Dorian Johnson or not, but Dorian Johnson left out a very inconvenient fact as the key eyewitness spokesperson who went on every TV show in America. He neglected to say that he and Michael Brown had just robbed a store.
because perhaps Dorian Johnson was not involved.
Well, I'm telling you that the police say that he was.
The police say that they fit the description, or they
No. We got the pictures. We got the picture. You'll have to see the pictures and judge for yourself.
Sir, I've been in many courtrooms in this country helping to defend young African American and Hispanic men. You would be surprised at how many men have been put in jail under false description and eyewitness testimony.
6'4",
they were not arrested.
6'4", 291 pounds, and in this case, wearing the exact same clothes as the man in the video. I assume the police, after the shooting, found this to be Michael Brown, and that's why they're saying it was Michael Brown. But I'm not going to sit here and argue that with you. Going forward now, what are you looking for?
One, I want to encourage all of our brothers and sisters not to burn down and destroy the community. Because if you burn down and destroy where you live today, where will you live tomorrow? At the end of the day, we have to mobilize and organize and take this energy that we have and use it to make sure that other unarmed young men of our community are not gunned down in cold blood.
But you don't know that he was gunned down in cold blood. What if he was struggling? Wait, well, let me ask you a question, Minister. What if he was struggling with the police?
That's not what happened.
Well, you don't know that. How do you know that?
According to eyewitnesses.
Oh, well, according to eyewitnesses, the same eyewitness who robbed the store?
No, according to two females who've been all over the quote-unquote media also, sir, who saw Michael Brown pulling away out of the car and saw him being shot at when he ran away, and then saw the cop continue shooting as his hands was raised in front of him. Sir, the bottom line is if you're unarmed and you have surrendered, you should not be shot down.
All right, well, there were reports that he was shot in the back. If he was shot in the back, then he couldn't have turned around. I heard a lawyer on CNN say that if a cop has a right to chase a felon and shoot at him if he won't stop. So we're gonna have to see what happened. We're gonna have to get the exact facts what happened. We're gonna have to hear from the eyewitnesses. We're gonna have to hear from the police, see the police report, because we haven't seen that either. I appreciate you coming on and spending time with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Take care. Minister Quanell X, ladies and gentlemen, national spokesman for the new Black Panther Nation and leader of the Black Panther Party in Texas. Up next, we're going to talk more about this. Don't go away.
I have a young